Training module, Understanding Regulatory Compliance in Clinical Data Management module. Overview. In this training session, we will discuss regulatory compliance in the context of managing data for clinical and translational research studies. The focus will be on the key regulatory principles that govern how data should be managed and maintained to ensure the integrity, confidentiality, and security of research data. While we will focus on some common standards in the clinical research domain, these concepts apply to any research environment where data management and participant privacy are a priority. Learning objectives. Understand the key principles of regulatory compliance in clinical research. Learn about the most important regulatory frameworks and guidelines for managing clinical data. Understand the responsibilities of data managers, study teams, and researchers when it comes to protecting sensitive information. Preliminary thoughts. At the heart of clinical data management, there's an important principle that must always be at the forefront of your mind. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Clinical research often gives individuals access to large amounts of sensitive data that can affect not only the progress of a study, but the lives of participants. While it is empowering to have access to these datasets, self-governance and ethical responsibility are crucial. When working with data, the trust of participants, researchers, and regulatory bodies must be earned, and this can only be achieved through integrity, transparency, and consistent adherence to ethical standards. In our work as clinical researchers or data managers, we must ensure that we operate under guidelines that prioritize the safety and privacy of research participants. Regulatory compliance is not only about following legal requirements, but about doing the right thing for the people whose data we handle. Key principles of regulatory compliance. Before diving into the regulatory frameworks, it's important to understand that even when a specific regulation might not apply to a study, there are always best practices that are worth adopting. Adhering to sound, universally accepted principles enhances the integrity of the research process, even if it's not legally required. Essential regulatory concepts in clinical data management. In clinical research, we frequently encounter several key acronyms that define how we manage and protect data. While regulations vary by region and research context, the following are the foundational standards you'll encounter most often. Institutional Review Board, IRB. The IRB is responsible for protecting the rights and welfare of human participants in clinical research. Any study involving human subjects must receive IRB approval before data collection begins. The IRB reviews the study to ensure ethical standards are met, assessing risks, benefits, and participant protection mechanisms. IRB guidelines typically fall under three core principles. Respect for persons. This principle involves recognizing the autonomy of individuals and ensuring they provide informed consent for participation. Beneficence. Researchers must aim to maximize potential benefits while minimizing harm. This requires careful risk-benefit analysis for participants. Justice. Participants must be fairly selected, ensuring that those who are at risk in the study are those who will benefit from the research. Example: a clinical trial examining a new cancer treatment must ensure that the study participants are not only aware of potential risks, but also that the treatment's benefits are clearly communicated. Additionally, participants should reflect the demographic group that will ultimately benefit from the drug, ensuring fairness and equity in research. Health privacy and data protection laws. Although regulations like HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, are US specific, the principles of data protection and privacy are universally relevant. HIPAA regulates how healthcare data is used and shared, including during research activities. In clinical research, safeguarding participant data is paramount. Privacy rule. This rule ensures that participants' personal health information is kept confidential. Even for research, it's essential to gain informed consent from individuals whose data is being collected. Security rule. The security rule mandates that research data, especially electronic records, are stored securely with proper administrative, physical, and technical safeguards to prevent unauthorized access. Example: if a clinical study is collecting patient information electronically, it is required to store this data in a way that ensures confidentiality and prevents data breaches, using encryption and access controls, for example. Federal Information Security Management Act, FISMA. For research data that involves federal funding or is contracted by government agencies, FISMA outlines the required security standards for data systems. FISMA applies to federal agencies and contractors managing sensitive data, mandating compliance with specific security protocols. Example: a government-funded clinical trial may require compliance with FISMA standards for data security, meaning that any research system used must undergo rigorous security assessments and regular audits to ensure it adheres to federal guidelines. Applying regulatory guidelines. Best practices for data management. Even when regulations may not be directly applicable, adopting best practices from these regulatory frameworks can improve the quality and integrity of your research. Below are some actionable guidelines to ensure you're consistently following the best practices in data management. Ensure participant confidentiality. Always anonymize or de-identify data whenever possible to protect patient privacy. For sensitive information, ensure that access is granted only to authorized personnel. Secure data storage. Store research data in secure environments, whether physical or digital. This includes using encrypted databases and ensuring audit trails are maintained for tracking who has accessed data. Establish clear data access protocols. Only individuals with proper clearance should have access to sensitive research data. Use role-based access controls and regularly review who has permissions. Implement regular audits. Conduct regular audits of both your data and your systems to ensure compliance with regulatory requirements. This helps identify potential risks or vulnerabilities before they become issues. Conclusion: navigating regulatory compliance in clinical data management is crucial for protecting research participants, ensuring the accuracy of study data, and maintaining trust with the broader research community. Understanding the core principles behind regulations like IRB approval, data protection laws, and security standards will help you create a solid foundation for your research activities. By always seeking best practices and ensuring you follow ethical guidelines, you can avoid potential issues and foster an environment of trust and integrity in your clinical studies. Even when not required by law, applying these standards will make you a better researcher and help ensure the success of your studies. Next steps. In our next training module, we will explore good clinical practice, GCP, and its role in ensuring the quality and compliance of clinical trials.